Hey everybody, Math Day 48 with Grandma. We're going to read a little bit more of our M&M Book of the Millennium. We were talking about how the moon affected early people with things. The earliest calendars we know followed the lunar cycle, and each new moon signaled the beginning of a new month. A new moon is when you actually can't see the moon outside. So it's getting ready to have a new one again in their eyes. The Babylonian, what's now Iraq, soon discovered a small problem with the lunar calendar. It didn't line up with the seasons, and if it didn't, they might plant at the wrong time. So by 432 BC, they started using a new calendar that was sometimes 12 months long and sometimes 13. It was complicated, but it worked until somebody couldn't remember if they should be using the 12 one or the 13-month one. Accuracy wasn't the only problem with early calendars. All the calendars were different. Some places started each year at the spring equinox around March 21st, when the number of hours of daylight equals the number of hours of darkness. But in Egypt, the new year began in the middle of June. On top of that, some places began their day at sunset, while others began at sunrise or midday. Must have been very confusing. At least they didn't have jet lag from back in those days. The Egyptians were the first to make a lunar calendar work better. Around 4000 BC, they began to use a notched reed to measure the high water mark of the Nile River and discovered that the floods happened almost exactly 1 year apart. Then Egyptian priest astronomers noticed that Sirius, the dog star, appeared in the pre-dawn sky at the same time as the flood. At the first sight of these two yearly events, priest astronomers would declare a new year of the three seasons, flooding, seed time, and harvest, and the count of the months would begin again. All right. Lemonade for Sale by Stuart J Murphy, illustrated by Tricia Tussa. Lemonade for sale. Lemonade for sale. The members of the Elm Street Kids Club were feeling glum. Our clubhouse is falling down and our piggy bank is empty, Meg said. I know how we can make some money, said Matthew. Let's sell lemonade. Danny said, I bet if we sell about 30 or 40 cups each day for a week, we'll make enough money for our clubhouse. Let's keep track of our sales. Sarah said, I can make a bar graph. I'll list the number of cups up the side like this, and I'll show the days of the week along the bottom. So she's counting by tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. They didn't go all the way up to 100. Lot of lemons. On Monday, they set up their corner stand. When people walk by, Petey, Meg's pet parrot, squawked, Lemonade for sale! Lemonade for sale! Matthew squeezed the lemons. Meg mixed in some sugar. Danny shook it up with ice and poured it into cups. Sherry kept track of how many cups they sold. Everybody's got a job. That's cool. Sherry announced, we sold 30 cups today. I'll fill in the bar above Monday, so it's up to 30 on the side. Not bad, Denny. Not bad, not bad, chattered Petey. On Tuesday, Peter squawked again, Lemonade for sale! Lemonade for sale! And more people came by. Matthew squeezed more lemons. Meg mixed in more sugar. Danny shook it up with ice and poured it into the cups. And Sherry kept track of how many cups of lemonade they sold. There's the new bar graph. She shouted, we sold 40 cups today. I'll fill the bar above Tuesday to the number 40. bar shows our sales are going up. Things are looking good, said Meg. Looking good, chattered Petey. On Wednesday, Peter squawked, "Lemonade for sale!" and so many times that most of the neighborhood stopped by. And Matthew squeezed even more lemons, and Meg mixed in even more sugar, and Danny shook it up with ice and poured it in even more cups, and Cherry kept track of how many cups they sold. We sold 56 cups today, yelled Sherry. We'll fill in Wednesday's bar to a little more than halfway between 50 and 60. That's great, shouted Matthew. That's great, bragged Petey. They opened on Thursday, but something was wrong. No matter how many times Peter squawked, "Lemonade for sale! Lemonade for sale!" hardly anybody came, so Matthew squeezed just a few lemons and mixed only a couple spoonsful of sugar, and Danny's ice melted while he waited, and Sherry kept track of the few cups they sold. We sold only 24 cups today. Thursday's bar is way down low. There goes our clubhouse, said Danny sadly. Petey didn't make a sound. I think I know what's going on, said Matthew. Look, he pointed down the street. There's someone juggling on the corner, and Avery's going over to watch. Let's check it out, said Meg. Danny asked the juggler, "Who are you?" "I'm Ted," said the juggler. "I just moved here." Sherry had an idea, and she whispered something to Jed. On Friday, Sherry arrived with Jed. Jed's going to juggle right next to our stand. That day, Petey squawked, Jed juggled, and more people came than ever before. Matthew squeezed loads of lemons, and Meg mixed in tons of sugar, and Danny shook it up with lots of ice and almost ran out of cups. And Cherry could hardly keep track of how many cups they sold. We sold so many cups today that our sales are over the top. We have enough money to rebuild our clubhouse. Hooray, they all shouted. Jed, will you join our club? You bet, said Jed. You bet, squawked Petey. Lemonade for sale. Of course, there's one aspect that they didn't talk about. How much did the initial cost of the lemons and the ice and the sugar and the cups cost? Because how much you spent on all that would have to be taken away from your profits to know if you actually made any money. And did their moms and dads give them the money for that? Because then they'd have to repay some of that money back. Lemonade for sale.